Hello everyone, you're welcome to tonight's live class. I am very happy to have all of us here, and I want to strongly believe that we are going to have a wonderful time here tonight. The topic we'll be looking at tonight is data intelligence, training your mind to think with data. But before I introduce the topic, I just want to officially, I would say, welcome every one of us to our very first video on this channel. Personally, I am excited to have every one of us here, and for today and subsequent weeks, probably in the next 2-3 weeks, we will really be diving into data analysis. We'll be looking at how to think with data. We'll be looking at how we can get our minds wrapped around the fact that data is important and how to interact with it, how to get the best from it. Okay, because I've discovered that many people don't really accord data the value, the critical importance that it deserves. So we will just treat the importance of data, just foundational things today and tomorrow, and then from next week we'll go straight into Excel and how we can use Excel to analyze several data. Okay, so for today we'll be starting with as I said, data intelligence. We want to see how we can train our mind to think with data. We are going to start with the introductory part today, where we'll be looking at data, the definition, the types, the uses, and how we can basically transform data to information today. When we come again tomorrow or in the next video, we'll be looking at how we can think in terms of data, how we can query data, how we can avoid bias, and several other things that would help us get the very best from data. But as I said, today we are just going to be looking at just what data is. So what is data? By definition, data is any collection of facts, figures, observations that describe probably your business, describe the world, describe things, describe anything that is of importance to you. So it could be numbers, it could be words, it could be people's conversations, it could be images, it could even be videos, a number of clicks, and so on and so forth. That's actually what data is. Now, the different examples, there are several examples. These are just two. We have probably you are a business person and you have a monthly record of all your sales. That table which contains that record of your monthly sales is actually data in a particular form. It could also be just CCTV videos from a particular park. Probably you have, or maybe you have a store where you record the videos from customers and all that. And you do that every day, you store it every day, you renew everything every day. So that collection of videos is actually another form of data. It could be your customer reviews, it could be whatever or at all, as long as it is a collection of or something you collect on daily basis that can provide you with relevant information. That is data. Now, what are the different types? Very quickly, what are the different types of data? First of all, we will be just looking at the two types. There are several under these two, but these are just broad categorization of data. The first one is quantitative data. From the name, it implies quantities, things we can quantify, especially numerically. So every form of data that can be quantified numerically is actually a quantitative data. For example, as we said in the previous slide, we looked at maybe monthly sales. It could be monthly income, monthly revenue. It could be how many people visit your site monthly, daily, and so on. Now you can quantify this in terms of numbers. Can I pause here and say something? This class actually is for people who somehow may be new to data, or just people who are trying to get their minds around what is this data thing and all that. So I would be slowing down explaining some things in detail so that you can grab it very well. All right, and then when we get into the meat of the matter, data analysis, probably from next week, you will be able to follow and catch along. Okay, so as I said, so we have quantitative data, monthly revenue, daily visitors, and the rest. And then we also have qualitative data. Now these ones cannot be quantified in terms of numbers. We cannot say, okay, 5 this, 7 this. Yeah, you may be able to extract some quantities from the quality that is provided, but not, you cannot categorize them as quantities. What are they? Basically, they are descriptions of things, descriptions of qualities, descriptions of characteristics, features, and the rest. For example, when you collect your customer reviews, that feedback from customers is actually a data. You may not be able to say, okay, this customer, what he said is, you may not be able to quantify it numerically, but for the fact that it's just maybe running sentence, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences the person is giving back to you, it's a qualitative data. It could also be a social media comment. That's a very good example. Okay, yes, you can count them and say, okay, I received 50 comments, 70 comments, but the quantity, or sorry, the quality of each comment, you cannot say, okay, this is how I can quantify it as number. No, what is contained in each of them. Some things we look out for in qualitative data, sometimes it could be keywords. For example, if I'm collecting, let's say, hair colors among people in a particular city, that is qualitative. So I'm collecting red. So I'm going to try to figure out red as a quality. Okay, now we can transform that to quantitative definitely by the time you begin to count and do all that. Okay, so these are the two broad categories of data. We have quantitative data and we have qualitative data. Quantitative, quantity, measurable in terms of numbers. Qualitative data, descriptions, and you can only have them as that. All right, now the next thing we want to look at is, why do businesses actually need data? Why? Every business, every reasonable business, I'm forced to say, is somehow engrossed in data. They are given to data, so consumed, I'm almost forced to say, by their data. They just want it. Why is that the case? That is because data helps businesses to make informed decisions. We are going to look at some businesses in the next slide. The data help businesses to make informed decisions. Now, without data, okay, and without the information that you can derive from data, we'll talk about that in a moment. But without data, basically, whatever decision you are making as a business owner, or maybe as an individual, actually, will just be a wild guess at best. Will be a wise guess at best. But by the time you have your data and you're able to transform it into information and extract certain information from it, you will find out that it will help you make certain decisions. Okay, that's one reason why businesses. Now let's take a look at this table I have here. Now this is actually a inventory records table from a particular company or a particular shop or store, and these are all the products they have. This is the product ID, opening stock, the purchase, and several other information. Now with this data, the business will be able to decide what should we focus on buying, which product is giving us much more profit, which is irrelevant. With this data, if they're able to analyze the data and extract some information from it, they'll be able to say, fine, which product is giving us what, which product is really wrong, okay, are we running out of stock, and all that. That's what data does. It helps you to make relevant information, informed decision, and not wild guesses. The next one, it helps you to measure performance. Just as I showed us in the table here, you can measure the performance. What do we have in this table? We have opening stock, we have stock in at the moment, okay, and then the number of units sold, and in stock, cost price per unit, and cost price total. Okay, so with this you can be able to say, fine, this is what I have on ground, and as the point says, measure the performance of each product. That thing is that it helps us to uncover growth opportunities. If probably you have a timeline, a data that gives you what happened in a particular timeline, you'll be able to compare what happened at the beginning of the timeline, perhaps let's say in a year from January to December. You can examine and say, okay, what happened between January and February, or January and June and December, and you can decipher, you can decide from that data and say, wow, I think there is an opportunity for us here. Data does not lie. So that data will help you uncover growth opportunities, and you are saying, if we invest more in this, if from what we are seeing this particular product is helping us, I think I can invest more in this product and it is going to give me much more profit and opportunities for growth. Okay, having said that, which is why businesses need data. We'll see some businesses, for example, Netflix uses viewing data to recommend shows. So if Netflix discovers that customers are viewing, or customers in a particular area are viewing a particular movie more often the viewership rate, okay, the rate of views for a particular product is so high, Netflix will want to recommend it to someone else in that environment and say, hey, people in this area are watching this. Now, let's say there's also a correlation between two movies. So Netflix will be able to say, okay, people who watched this are also watching this. Why don't you just check it out? Okay, so that's the power of data in Netflix. Amazon as well analyzes purchases to predict inventory and also personalize experiences, people's experiences from the purchase rates, maybe purchase per season, purchase per month, purchase per trend. They are able to say, fine, that means by this time next month we are going to be needing this amount of products, and with that prediction they will be prepared to make provision for their customers. As well, they would also use that particular analysis to make sure that customers have personalized experience. For example, customers in Nigeria, it's not going to make sense recommending products that may be very much useful only for customers in the US. It's not going to be necessary. So that's issue of personalizing customer experience is very important for Amazon. Okay, the next point is for individuals. Now, apart from the fact that businesses recommend or require data, businesses need to work on their data, or should I say get benefit from data. Aside the fact that businesses benefit from data, individuals as well can benefit from data. Individuals benefit from data. And how do individuals benefit from data? They benefit from data by they can use data for decision making. Okay, we're going to look into different examples. It can help them in personal growth. It can also help individuals in avoiding misinformation. Now, in what areas is this very applicable? For example, budgeting apps. Budgeting apps can help you track your spending, help you know what areas you're actually spending more on, what areas you actually are not spending more on, and over time you'll be able to decide and say, fine, this is my spending habit, this is what I need to change, and this is what I don't need to change. All right. Also, it can also help build step and sleep data, can help you improve your wellness. So let's say every day you take note of how many hours you sleep or how many steps you take in a day. That gives you a chart. Analyzing the chart can tell you, okay, you are burning this amount of calories, you are losing this amount of weight, and you will need to sleep more, you are sleeping less than you should, and all that. So individuals can apply data in these areas of their lives as well. Okay, now this should be the last point. How do we transform data into important information? How do we do this? Now, first of all, it's important we distinguish between data and information. Very important we distinguish the two. Now, data ordinarily is just a collection of entries. Okay, there is this table I would want us to look at. Give me a minute. Let me quickly open it. And I just opened it recently. Let me see. Yeah, this. Here we go. So look at this table, for example. It is just entries, different entries from different regions. Sorry about that. Different countries. So I have regions here, I have countries here, I have the items they sold. It's actually entries of what different countries sold, what kind of item did they sell, what channel did they sell it through, and different information. Now, looking at these entries, for example, it makes that we cannot really say anything. It is just data entries, data, nothing particularly useful. The only way this can be useful is when we begin to transform this data into information. And there are several ways we can do that. For example, we can decide to group the sales data into weeks to reveal trends. This table I have, for example, I can let me get rid of this. All right, so this table that I have, we can decide to say let us just have only information from sub-Saharan Africa. And since this is Excel, we can just use this drop down and select only sub-Saharan Africa. And when we say OK, we just have this. Sorry, it disconnected briefly. Okay, I hope you can all still hear me. Okay, so this is the table we have. I can decide, just as I did just a few minutes ago, I filtered by region, and I have only sub-Saharan Africa. So this is the information as it were. So I have, at some level, this is just data anyway, except I begin to analyze this. I can decide to add all the units sold. I can decide to add all the prices. I can even decide to filter by countries further, and I'll say, okay, I just want only one country. Let me say Angola, and it is filtered further, and so on and so forth. Now, by manipulating this data, these entries, different entries of whatever required information, I can extract some information from it, and I can say, okay, this is what happened. We are going to get into that fully tomorrow. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Okay, for example, one information this table can give us, we can say find the total number of units sold by Angola. That is what this table can give us. We can say, okay, the total average unit price of all products sold by Angola. Now, that is information. We are deriving that from the data that we have here. Tomorrow or in the next video, we are going to look at how to think, how to query data, how to ask questions of data, how to find out which question rather is very important to ask and which is irrelevant, how to avoid bias and the rest. We're going to look at that in the next video. But what I'm just saying here is that by working on your data, you will be able to get the information that would help you. Now, imagine that you don't or you didn't collect any data. What are you going to work on to give you relevant information? If you invite any kind of analyst, any kind of let's use the word analyst into your organization, you're trying to find out what the problem is, you're trying to plan for growth for the next let's say financial year and the rest of it. The question the analyst is going to give us, I want to see your data. I want to see so that I can study and see the trend, what is happening, what has happened in the past, and then we can project for the future. All right, so we can have our sales group, the sales data grouped in 2 weeks to reveal trends and all that. We can also have survey results summarized, okay, can show satisfaction rates and the rest. So by the time we work on data, that's what we are saying in this point. To get information from your data, you have to work on it. You have to learn to work on it. You have to learn to extract that information. That is where, if we don't know how to extract that information, data will be useless to us. It will be very useless. So tomorrow, I keep saying it, in the next video, we are going to look at how we can extract, how we can query, what should be going on in our mind, how we can think in terms of data. So as a conclusion, before we draw the curtain, just realize that data is important. Data doesn't lie. Numbers don't lie. And if you can learn to rely so much on numbers, you'll be able to make a very good decision for your business. You'll be able to get things working for you and achieve so much, as whether as a business owner or even as an individual. So if you've liked what we've been doing so far, just hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and clear your schedule. Next week, hopefully, we are going to have live classes, 1 week of live classes where we are going to just look at Excel for data analysis. Maybe 2 weeks, where we'll meet daily, Mondays to Fridays, hopefully, and we will analyze a particular data set, probably the one I just used earlier, and see how to derive necessary information from data. All right, I will be closing the curtain here. I want to appreciate every one of you who joined the transmission today. We hope to get better here with time. This is our first, and we hope to just get better with time. Thank you very much. If there are any suggestions, any comments, you can always send in your questions in the comment section, and we will do our best to respond. Thank you. See you tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m., where we will consider how to query data, how to derive information from data what steps or how, and how to think in terms of data. All right, thank you very much everyone. See you. Good night.